Hey world, Chamia here with the Just Chamia Show with my I'm Just Saying segment for the week of December 1st, 2014. First, let me share with you what I'm reading. Dear White People by Justin Simien. This book is funny and witty and provides insights into the Black perspective on common interactions and encounters with white America. So it's a great book. I recommend that you read it, I recommend that you buy it, and I recommend that you gift it. I personally am going to be gifting this book this holiday season, buying it in bulk, and just check it out. It's a really good read. What am I listening to? Two things actually right now. The first is The Scarlet Letter by Little Mo. I've been a Little Mo fan from the beginning, since first hearing her music, and this is a much long awaited CD and I'm glad that it's here. My favorite tracks on this are, I like 8 and 9. Number 7 though is a song that will make any woman feel super sexy, extra sexy than she already does. And it's a song that I'd love to see the Baltimore Bad Boys perform to. You know who you are. My favorite track on this is probably number 3, and Mo, it's a song that I recommend that you release in remix format, and I recommend that you feature Rick Ross, 2 Chainz, the Player Circle edition of 2 Chainz, Jadakiss, and bring back Ja Rule. I think that he would kill it closing out the remix of number 3 on the CD, so I recommend that you buy this. I'm also listening to Settle by Disclosure. This is an awesome disc. I can just listen to it from end to end, in the car, at work, in the house. My baby likes it. It's awesome. All the tracks are great. However, I would like to say that number 6 is my favorite. It's my anthem right now. So Settle by Disclosure, check it out. Before we talk about a few stories, I would like to say a special thank you to artists like Little Mo and Disclosure who still release their music on CD. As you saw, I still buy CDs. Artists who release your music only on iTunes, you're missing out on a consumer like me. I'm old school. I like a CD. I like to collect and read the little booklets and all the credits and see your beautiful pictures and all of that. So there it is. So let's talk about a few stories. The first, the Des Moines Register published a 4-part series titled Harvest of Change. Now this is an interesting read about 4 Iowa families who farm and how they're impacted by changes in local and national demographics, on government policies, on technology, and by the economy. And this is a great story that speaks to not what's just happening there in Iowa and not just what's happening to farm families, but what's happening in industries and to families all across America. So it's a great read. I recommend that you check that out, from the Des Moines Register. Another story that I'd like to share, the 24th Havana International Book Fair is going to take place in mid-February in the capital city and then across the country through April. And it's going to be dedicated this year to the Republic of India as their guest country of honor. So I think this is exceptionally awesome. You can find an article about the fair and how the organizers are working with the literary community in India to bring Indian culture to Cuba and to print books on Indian culture in Cuba. So you can find that on the website for Granma Internacional. It's a Cuban publication, news publication, so check that out. I think it's really cool to have a country that focuses on literacy, that has international, nationwide campaigns such as this literacy fair annually, and it's really awesome. I think it's really cool, so you should check that out. This week, the annual Soul Train Awards aired, and I watched like many others. I was very excited to see Jodeci back on stage. I loved seeing 2 of my favorites, Kim and Ledisi, getting national exposure and appreciation, and to see the 2 of them collaborate together, that made my week. It was awesome. And of course, I lived for the moment when you had the reunion of Missy Elliott, Da Brat, and Queen Bee, Little Kim herself. I love their performance. I loved how they kept Left Eye's verse in there and paid homage to her. I love that. That was totally awesome. That being said, what was truly, apparently, and sadly lacking was the mention of the Michael Brown murder, the grand jury decision, and the outcry in Ferguson. This being the first event, the first nationally televised event to an African American audience, I just looked for our leaders being each one of the celebrities that were in attendance, that took the stage, that had a microphone in hand with speakers pointed out to millions across the country and across the world. I really looked for them to say something in acknowledgement of what happened, of the unjust decision by the grand jury, to all those who are heartbroken, including the Michael Brown family, and to all those who are seekers of justice in this country. I think it's a huge opportunity missed to say something from that national platform. Anything while they had, again, that microphone in hand and the speakers pointed towards million. Tremendously lost opportunity. Sad about that. That being said, there were those who did have something to say about the protests, not the riots, but the protests in Ferguson. First, Joe Scarborough, who's the host of Morning Joe on MSNBC, he had this to say: the Ram thing was the final straw for me. This Rams thing, right? That was the final straw for me. I have sat here quietly and listened to BS being spewed all over this network and all over other networks. Somebody needs to tell me why Michael Brown has been chosen as the face of Black oppression. Joe, darling Joe, I respect your opinion and I respect your right for free speech, but brother, you don't have a clue. You just don't. Michael Brown is not the face of Black oppression in America. Sadly, he's one of many faces of Black oppression in America. To name a few: Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant, Jordan Davis, Marlene Pinnock, and Eric Gardner. They're just a few of the faces of Black oppression in America. The very fact that you don't understand this, and the fact that you made that statement, it's just a ludicrous statement, shows both how uneducated you are, how uneducated the 95% that you claim to think like you may be, and it also shows how far we have to go to both educate and repair race relations in this country. It's a very big issue, and we have such a long way to go. Secondly, let me start by saying that I am the THE Charles Barkley fan, and I have been as long as I can remember, since I was a little girl. I have Charles Barkley basketball cards from every team he's been a member of, including the Dream Team. I have lots of Chuck memorabilia, including this supersized poster you see behind me that I've kept since I was a teenager, and much more. I always have been, and I still am, a Charles Barkley fan. That being said, I am so disappointed by the statements that Chuck made this week about what's happening in Ferguson. Statements such as, "This notion that Black cops are out there just killing Black men is ridiculous," and "Real Black people aren't out there looting." Chuck, there's a book I'd like you to read. I just want you to check this out. There's a book, it's called The Peculiar Institution by Kenneth Stamp. I want you to read that book, and then I'd like you to take a plainclothes walk around any urban area in America. South side of Chicago, go to Hunters Point in San Francisco, any urban area in America, and tell me that you have the same perspective as you do today. I think that all Black people are real people, and it's the fact that people still make comments like that these aren't real Black people. It's the fact that people still make comments like that and believe that Blacks are a subhuman species that has images of Blacks shucking and jiving for a hamburger on television's commercial. It's thoughts and statements like that that have Black women that are naked, half naked on every music video that's produced by the music industry on all of our screens. It's statements like that that have our black men, yes, our black men being killed on a regular basis by cops. We have a long way to go. And Sir Charles, I want you to remember this too. It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago that you as a black man would have been considered just a percentage of a man, not even a whole man, just a fraction of a man. So I just want to remind you of that. And some of those people who think that black people aren't real people, that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. We've come a long way, but we haven't come that far. Racism is real. Black men and women are being beaten and killed on a regular basis in this country amid all the other injustices. So we have a long way to go. And the last thing that we need is one of us. The last thing we need is you, the role model that you are, not the one that you maybe thought you weren't and that you didn't want to be, but the role model that you are to make comments and statements like that. I do want to say a special shout out and a thank you to Kenny Smith for your open letter to Chuck in USA Today. Kudos on that. That was awesome and brilliant. I'm just saying, let's keep the dialogue going. Share this, talk about it, tweet it, Facebook it, talk about it with your neighbors, with your family members, with your co-workers. Let's keep the discussion going. Oprah, Spike Lee, Justin Simien, Lee Daniels, Kathy Hughes, call me. Until next week, be blessed and be a blessing.